The year was 2042, a time when humanity had just begun to explore Mars with small research stations, and the Moon hosted a handful of scientific outposts. People on Earth still argued about climate change solutions and fought over dwindling resources. Nobody expected visitors from beyond our solar system. It happened on a Tuesday morning. Every screen on Earth, phones, computers, billboards, flickered and displayed the same message. Attention primitive species of Sol 3, prepare for inspection. Hours later, they arrived. 3 massive ships appeared in orbit, each one larger than the International Space Station. They moved with impossible grace, defying Earth's gravity as if it were nothing more than a gentle suggestion. News channels worldwide broadcast continuous footage of the ships, their sleek metallic surfaces reflecting sunlight in ways that hurt the eyes if you stared too long. World leaders scrambled to form a response team. After 2 days of heated debate, they appointed Dr. Kim Ji-woo to lead Earth's first contact team. Dr. Kim had spent her life studying communication patterns and was known for her ability to find common ground between opposing groups during international conflicts. "I never imagined my negotiation skills would be tested quite like this," she told her assistant, as they boarded the helicopter to the newly established United Earth Command Center in Geneva. The aliens, calling themselves the Terry, finally sent a smaller vessel to land at the prepared site in neutral Switzerland. Dr. Kim and her team waited as the ship's door melted away, revealing 3 tall beings whose bodies seemed made of living crystal. They moved with fluid motions, their transparent forms filled with swirling colors that shifted with each movement. The tallest Terry stepped forward, its body flashed with patterns of light that somehow translated into words in the humans' minds. "We are representatives of the galactic hegemony, rulers of 50,000 worlds across this spiral arm. We have come to catalog this system and assess its primitive dominant species." Dr. Kim bowed slightly. "We welcome you to Earth and hope for peaceful exchange of—" The lead Tyree's colors flashed bright orange. "Your welcome is unnecessary. This is not a social visit. The hegemony has governed the stars for 20,000 of your years. Your planet has been noted in our records, but deemed too undeveloped for proper contact until now." Another Tyree moved forward, its crystals tinged with blue. "Recent detection of your primitive radio signals and early fusion experiments have triggered the inspection protocols." Dr. Kim maintained her composure despite the dismissive tone. "We have many questions about your civilization and technology. We hope to learn—" "You will be provided with information appropriate for your development level," interrupted the first Terry, its colors now pulsing with what seemed like amusement. "Initial scans indicate your species has barely harnessed nuclear power. You still burn fossil fuels. Your space exploration consists of a few metal boxes orbiting your planet and a handful of simple probes." The third Tyree stepped forward, its crystal body changing to a deep purple. "By hegemony standards, you qualify as a Class D civilization, a primitive backwater barely worth cataloging." Dr. Kim felt her cheeks flush, but kept her voice steady. "We may seem primitive to you, but humanity has made remarkable progress in a short time. Our art, philosophy, and scientific understanding have been surpassed by 1,000 worlds before yours," the blue Terry finished for her. "The Hegemony Council has already made its decision. Earth will be assigned protectorate status. You may continue your development under our guidance with appropriate restrictions." The meeting lasted 3 more hours, with the Terry explaining what protectorate status meant. Earth would be allowed to continue internal governance, but would have no say in solar system matters beyond their atmosphere. Space development would be restricted to prevent wasteful exploitation of resources. A hegemony outpost would be established on the Moon to monitor compliance. When Dr. Kim tried to negotiate better terms, the lead Terry's body flashed with colored lights that the translation technology rendered as laughter. "What leverage do you imagine you possess in this discussion?" it asked. "Your most advanced weapons would barely scratch our smallest vessels. Your entire global computational network has less processing power than a Tyree child's educational device." As the meeting concluded, the Tyree announced they would establish their base on the dark side of the Moon within the Earth week. Regular inspections of human facilities would begin shortly after. That night, Dr. Kim met with General Park Hyun-soo at the Emergency United Nations session. "They see us as children," she explained to the gathered leaders. "Primitive, harmless, and not worth serious consideration." "Then they've already made their first mistake," replied General Park, his weathered face serious. "Throughout our history, humans have never responded well to being underestimated." As the Terry ships moved toward the moon to begin construction of their outpost, Earth's leaders voted to establish the Joint Human Defense Initiative. On the surface, humanity would appear to accept their new protectorate status. Behind closed doors, they would prepare to prove the aliens wrong. Dr. Kim looked out the window at the night sky where one of the alien ships gleamed like a new star. "They mock what they don't understand," she whispered. "Let them laugh now." They won't be laughing long. The Tyeri wasted no time building their base on the far side of the moon. Within weeks, their strange crystalline structures rose from the lunar surface, glittering under the harsh sunlight. Earth scientists watched through telescopes, amazed at how quickly these alien beings could create something so massive without any apparent construction equipment. 6 weeks after their arrival, the Terry invited a small group of human representatives to visit their completed lunar facility. Dr. Kim Ji-woo and General Park Hyun-soo were among the 5 humans selected. They traveled aboard a Tyri shuttle, which covered the distance to the moon in just under an hour, a journey that would have taken human spacecraft days. "Try not to look too impressed," General Park whispered as they approached the airlock. "They already think we're simple." Inside, the base was even more extraordinary than it appeared from a distance. Corridors seemed to grow from the floor rather than being constructed. Light pulsed through transparent walls in patterns that somehow didn't hurt human eyes, despite their brightness. "This way," said their Tyri guide, a smaller crystal being who introduced itself as Observer Lun. "The High Commander wishes to show you our monitoring station." They were led into a vast chamber with hundreds of floating screens, showing different scenes from Earth: city streets, factories, schools, even family homes. "You're spying on our people?" Dr. Kim asked, unable to hide her shock. Observer Lun's crystal body flashed with the colors they now recognized as amusement. "Spying implies secrecy. We are conducting open observation, as is our right as your protectors, but that is not what we wanted to show you." The screen suddenly rearranged, merging into one massive display, showing what appeared to be some kind of entertainment program. To their horror, the humans realized they were watching a popular Terry broadcast about Earth. The show featured Terry commentators watching humans go about their daily lives, adding commentary that, even through the translation, was clearly mocking. They laughed at humans struggling with traffic jams, still using ground vehicles with wheels, made fun of people trying to fix broken appliances, they don't just print new ones, and seemed particularly amused by footage of Earth's most advanced rocket launches. Look how they celebrate moving a tiny metal box beyond their atmosphere. This is the most popular entertainment program in 7 star systems right now, Observer Lun explained. "We call it Primitive Planet. Your species has provided much amusement to the hegemony." General Park's face darkened with anger, but Dr. Kim placed a warning hand on his arm. They had agreed to show no strong emotions around the Terry. "I'm glad we can be entertaining," Dr. Kim said carefully. "Perhaps this cultural exchange will help both our species understand each other better." Cultural exchange. Another Tyri joined them, its body larger and more intricately formed. This was High Commander Kyr, the leader of the lunar base. "There is no exchange here. You have nothing to teach us. We have governed the stars since your ancestors were figuring out how to make fire." The screens changed again, showing Earth's oceans, forests, and mineral deposits. "Your planet has resources that will be useful to the hegemony," High Commander Kyr continued. "We have prepared extraction plans that will begin next month. We will, of course, leave enough for your species to continue its development at an appropriate pace." "What does that mean?" General Park asked, his voice tight with controlled anger. "It means we'll be restricting certain technologies," said Observer Lun. "Your nuclear research is already approaching dangerous levels for a species of your maturity. Space development beyond your orbit will cease. The resources of your system belong to the hegemony now. Dr. Kim stepped forward. Our governments won't accept this. We have rights to the resources in our own solar system. High Commander Kier's body flashed with such bright colors of amusement that the humans had to shield their eyes. Rights? What rights does a child have to claim its parents' possessions? The universe operates on power, not rights, and you have none. The mockery continued as they were shown more tiring entertainment programs featuring humans. One show called Primitive Logic featured Terry philosophers discussing human scientific theories, with the same tone adults might use when praising a child's crayon drawing. After returning to Earth, Dr. Kim and General Park reported to the United Earth Council, meeting in the underground facility beneath Geneva. Representatives from every nation listened in stunned silence. They're not just taking our resources, Dr. Kim explained. They're turning us into the laughingstock of their empire. An older woman stood up. This was Dr. Lee Yunji, Earth's leading quantum physicist. Perhaps being underestimated is the only advantage we have, she said quietly. They see us as primitives, as children. Children are often overlooked, until they're not children anymore. General Park nodded. They've built their lunar base without any defensive systems facing Earth. Their ships have minimal shielding when in orbit. They don't see us as a threat. And that's exactly how we need to keep it, said Dr. Kim. While they're busy laughing at us, we'll be learning everything we can about them. The following months brought more humiliation. The Terry began mining operations in the asteroid belt, using technology that made Earth's best efforts look like stone tools. They restricted human satellite launches and demanded inspection of Earth's research facilities. Worst of all were the public broadcasts. The Terry now regularly transmitted their entertainment programs to Earth as a courtesy, showing humans just how primitive the galactic hegemony thought they were. One night, as Dr. Kim watched yet another mocking Terry program about human technology, her assistant Sung-ho brought her a cup of coffee. "How can you watch this garbage?" he asked. Dr. Kim smiled grimly. "Know your enemy, Sung-ho. While they're busy making fun of our rockets, they don't notice that we've been studying their communication systems." She pointed to a small device on her desk, quietly recording and analyzing the transmission frequencies used by the Terry broadcasts. They think we're just angry or defeated. They don't realize that every human scientist on Earth is now focused on one thing, understanding their technology. Let them mock us. Underestimated enemies are the most dangerous kind. The underground bunker beneath Seoul National University had been converted into the headquarters of Operation Underdog. The name might have sounded childish to outsiders, but it perfectly captured humanity's position in this fight. Inside, hundreds of scientists, engineers, and military personnel worked around the clock, studying every piece of Terry technology they could access. Dr. Kim Ji-woo stood before the assembled team leaders, the dark circles under her eyes testament to sleepless nights, spent decoding Terry transmission patterns. "They think we're beaten," she said, her voice steady despite the exhaustion. "The latest reports show they've scaled back security measures on their lunar base by 30%. They no longer consider us a threat, if they ever did, General." Park Hyun-soo nodded grimly. "Their mockery programs have actually worked in our favor. While they broadcast those stupid shows about how primitive we are, they've stopped paying attention to what we're actually doing." Dr. Lee Yun-ji, who had been quietly studying a holographic display of Terry crystal structures, stepped forward. At 62, she was the oldest member of the core team but possessed a brilliance that had revolutionized quantum physics long before the aliens arrived. "I have something to show you," she said. "Yesterday, we successfully replicated a small section of Terry communications technology." Excited murmurs filled the room as Dr. Lee activated a small device on the table. A tiny crystal, no larger than a fingernail, began to glow with shifting patterns of light. "It's not the crystal itself that matters," Dr. Lee explained. "It's what we learned by making it. The Terry don't innovate because they don't need to. Their technology is perfect, by their standards, but they've been using the same systems for thousands of years without significant changes. And that makes them predictable," finished Dr. Kim. "Exactly. Their encryption follows mathematical patterns that repeat over long cycles. Once we understood that, we started finding back doors into their systems." General Park leaned forward. Can we access their weapons? Dr. Lee shook her head. Not yet. Their military systems are isolated from their general networks. But we've gained access to their knowledge databases. We're learning more about them every day. The team spent the next hour discussing their findings. The picture that emerged was fascinating and promising. The Tyri, for all their advanced technology, were rigid thinkers. They followed established protocols perfectly, but struggled with unexpected problems. Their society operated on strict hierarchies with clear rules. Innovation was rare because it wasn't valued. They remind me of insects, said Professor Choi Min-ho, a biologist who had joined the team. Not in appearance, but in behavior. Each has a role. Each follows patterns. They're incredibly efficient but can't adapt quickly to new situations. As the meeting was wrapping up, a young lieutenant burst into the room, tablet in hand. "You need to see this," he said breathlessly. "It's from the listening post in Antarctica." The screen showed a massive Terry ship approaching Earth, much larger than any they'd seen before. "It's the Hegemony High Council," Dr. Kim said, reading the intercepted communications. "They're coming to inspect their new protectorate." "General," Park's expression darkened. "When?" 3 days. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. The Hegemony's leadership would expect to see a compliant, primitive species grateful for their guidance. If they suspected humanity was studying their technology, the consequences would be severe. "We need more time," Dr. Lee said quietly. "Our projects are promising, but we're months away from anything usable." Dr. Kim looked around the room at the tired but determined faces of Earth's brightest minds. Then she smiled, a small, dangerous smile. "Maybe we can use their visit to our advantage," she said. "They expect primitives, so let's give them primitives. The most obedient, grateful, technology-challenged primitives they've ever seen." Over the next 3 days, as the massive Hegemony ship settled into orbit around Earth, a carefully orchestrated show began. World leaders prepared lavish but technologically simple welcome ceremonies. Scientists hid their advanced work and prepared demonstrations of primitive Earth technology that secretly incorporated elements of Terry design, but disguised to appear clumsy and inefficient. Meanwhile, Colonel Park trained a special team in what he called technological guerrilla warfare. These weren't soldiers in the traditional sense, but hackers, engineers, and systems specialists who could exploit the smallest weaknesses in Terry networks. The night before the High Council's arrival, Dr. Kim met with young Kang Min-ho in her office. At just 19, Min-ho had been a quiet computer prodigy before the aliens came. Now he was possibly the most valuable person on the planet. "Are you sure this will work?" she asked him. Min-ho nodded, his fingers flying over his customized tablet. "Other Terry never expected us to access their systems, so they never built in protections against it. It's like they built a house with perfect walls and roof, but forgot to put locks on the doors. And you can get into their main network during the ceremony? As long as they bring their communication array within range, yes. I need 5 minutes, maybe less." Dr. Kim squeezed his shoulder. "Good. Remember, we're not trying to hurt them. Just learn from them." As she left the building that night, Dr. Kim looked up at the stars. Somewhere up there, the Tari were preparing to further humiliate her species. They had no idea that humans had been studying war, deception, and survival for thousands of years. The Tari thought technology was the only measure of advancement. They were about to learn otherwise. "Mock us all you want," she whispered to the night sky. "We're used to being underestimated." The next morning, as the Hegemony High Council's shuttle descended toward the United Nations headquarters in Geneva, Operation Underdog was ready. Humanity would play the role of the primitive species perfectly, while secretly beginning the work that would eventually free them from Terry control, not with violence, not with force, but with the uniquely human gifts of adaptation, creativity, and determination that the Terry, for all their crystal brilliance, would never understand. 3 years passed since the Terry's arrival. On the surface, Earth seemed to have accepted its place as a primitive protectorate. Humans continued their daily lives, while the aliens monitored from their lunar base, occasionally descending to conduct inspections or extract resources. The mockery shows continued. though they'd lost some popularity as galactic audiences grew bored with watching the same primitives stumble through simple tasks. What the Terry didn't see was what happened beneath the surface. In an abandoned subway, tunnel beneath Seoul, Kang Min-ho hunched over a workstation surrounded by a strange hybrid of human and alien technology. At 22, he looked older than his years, his young face lined with exhaustion, but his eyes burned with excitement as he worked. "I've got it," he whispered, though no one was around to hear. His fingers danced across the interface, part touchscreen, part light patterns modeled after Terry systems. "I've finally got it." He reached for his secure phone and dialed a number few people knew existed. "Dr. Kim." "It's Min-ho. I've broken through the last firewall. We have complete access to their educational archives." 30 minutes later, Dr. Kim Ji-woo stood in the tunnel, staring at the screens with wonder. Around her, 20 of Earth's top scientists watched as thousands of years of Terry knowledge scrolled before their eyes. "It's beautiful," whispered Dr. Lee Yoonji, reaching out as if to touch the light patterns. "Their understanding of quantum mechanics it's like they took a completely different path than we did." "That's exactly what makes our approach valuable," said Dr. Kim. "They've been perfecting the same technologies for millennia. They never needed to find alternatives or workarounds. But humans have always had to improvise," finished General Park, who had entered silently. "When we couldn't split the atom one way, we found another. When we couldn't reach the stars with chemical rockets, we developed ion engines." Min-ho nodded excitedly. "And that's why my hack worked. They've never experienced anyone trying to break into their systems. The concept of cybersecurity barely exists for them." Dr. Kim looked around the room. "What we're doing here goes beyond resistance. We're not just fighting against the Tairi. We're creating something new, something neither humanity nor the Tairi could have developed alone." Over the next months, Operation Underdog expanded into what they called the Silent Revolution. Underground facilities around the world became hubs of quiet innovation, each focusing on different aspects of Tairi technology. In London, engineers developed communication systems that piggybacked on Terry transmissions, allowing humans to talk freely without detection. In Nairobi, a team of physicists reversed engineered parts of Terry energy systems, creating power sources small enough to fit in a pocket but strong enough to run a small city. And in Buenos Aires, medical researchers discovered how to use modified Tairi healing techniques to cure diseases that had plagued humanity for centuries. Most importantly, all these innovations were designed with human creativity, adaptable, flexible, and built, with redundant systems that could work even if parts failed. One cool autumn morning, Dr. Kim and General Park stood on a hillside overlooking Busan Harbor. Below them, workers who appeared to be repairing fishing boats were actually installing quantum communication nodes disguised as ordinary navigation equipment. "Have you seen the latest reports from the lunar base?" asked General Park. Dr. Kim nodded. "They're cutting surveillance again. They think we're completely pacified. Their mockery has become their weakness. They're so convinced of their superiority that they can't imagine us learning from them, let alone improving on their designs." Dr. Kim gazed up at the clear sky. "The Hegemony Council returns next month for their 5-year inspection. Will we be ready?" "Almost. Min-ho's team has identified a backdoor into their main control systems. We can't access their weapons, but we can temporarily disable their ship's navigation and communication. Lee's team has completed the quantum disruption device, small enough to carry in a pocket, powerful enough to affect every Terry system within Earth's orbit." "And if they detect what we're doing?" Dr. Kim asked softly. "They won't," said a voice. Behind them, they turned to see young Kang Min-ho approaching, carrying what looked like an ordinary tablet. "I've been inside their systems for 2 years now. I know how they think, how they build their security. They never look for threats from inside because their society doesn't work that way. No Tairi would ever betray the hegemony, so they don't guard against it." He held up the tablet, which displayed patterns of light mimicking Tairi communication. "We're ready for the final phase. We've placed our people in key positions at every Tairi installation on Earth. When the disruption device activates, we'll have 5 minutes where their systems go completely dark. 5 minutes to download everything we need from their main ship's database. Dr. Kim looked between the young hacker and the battle-hardened general. And then? And then, said General Park, we show them that humanity is not to be underestimated. Not through violence or threats, but by proving we can understand their technology better than they do. As they walked back to their vehicle, Dr. Kim thought about the billions of humans going about their daily lives, unaware of how close they were to reclaiming their dignity, their future. The Tyri had arrived expecting to find simple primitives, easy to control and exploit. Instead, they'd found a species whose greatest strength was adapting to challenges, learning from adversity, and turning disadvantages into opportunities. The silent revolution was almost complete. Soon, the aliens who had mocked humanity would learn just how dangerous it was to underestimate the creative potential of the human mind. The massive hegemony mothership hung in Earth's orbit like a crystal mountain catching the sun's rays. It had arrived 2 days earlier, bringing the High Council of the Galactic Hegemony for their 5-year inspection of their primitive protectorate. Thousands of humans had gathered in Geneva for the ceremonial meeting, exactly as the Tyri had instructed. Dr. Kim Ji-woo adjusted her formal suit as she waited in the antechamber of the United Nations building. Her heart pounded, but her face remained calm. In her pocket, she carried what looked like an ordinary pen, the quantum disruption device that Kang Min-ho and Dr. Lee Yunji had perfected after years of work. Nervous? General Park asked quietly, standing beside her in his dress uniform adorned with medals that Tyri had insisted humans continue wearing, finding them amusingly primitive. A little, she admitted. 5 years of work comes down to the next 30 minutes. The teams are in position, he said. Min-ho confirmed final access to their systems an hour ago. Whatever happens in there, remember that every human on this planet is behind you. A soft chime sounded, and the doors swung open to reveal the grand chamber. The entire Hegemony High Council, 12 crystalline beings of various sizes and colors, floated above the center of the room on gravity platforms. Around them, human representatives from every nation stood waiting, their expressions carefully neutral. High Commander Kier, now the Hegemony's chief administrator for Earth, gestured for Dr. Kim to approach. The human representative may address the council. Its voice resonated in their minds. Dr. Kim walked forward, feeling the weight of billions of human hopes on her shoulders. For 5 years, they had endured mockery, restrictions, and exploitation. Today that would end, not with violence but with the quiet power of human ingenuity. Honored members of the hegemony, she began, her voice steady. Earth has been under your guidance for 5 cycles now. We have learned much from observing your advanced civilization. The Tyri councillors' bodies flickered with colors that translated as amusement. They were enjoying this performance by the primitive. Indeed, said one particularly large councillor with deep blue patterns. Your species has shown appropriate deference. The resource extraction quotas have been met, and incidents of resistance have decreased by 98%. Dr. Kim nodded respectfully. We understand our place in the greater galaxy now, but we've been curious, what plans does the hegemony have for humanity's future development? The councillors exchanged light patterns among themselves before High Commander Kier responded. Your development will proceed along established guidelines. In approximately 300 years, if all proceeds without incident, humans may be permitted limited interplanetary travel within your system. In perhaps 1,000 years, supervised use of certain simpler, faster-than-light technologies might be considered. Dr. Kim tilted her head. 1,000 years is a very long time from a human perspective. High Commander Kier's body flashed brightly. From a hegemony perspective, it is but a moment. Your impatience is typical of young species. I see, Dr. Kim said thoughtfully. And what if I told you that humans have already learned to adapt and improve upon Tyri technology? The light patterns among the councillors shifted to what Dr. Kim had learned to recognize as dismissive laughter. Impossible, stated another councillor flatly. Your species lacks both the knowledge base and cognitive capacity to comprehend our systems, let alone improve them. Dr. Kim smiled slightly. Perhaps a demonstration then? Before any of the Terry could respond, she clicked the pen in her pocket twice. Instantly, every light in the chamber died. The gravity platforms supporting the High Council flickered and failed, sending the crystalline beings dropping gently to the floor. Their bodies, which normally glowed with internal light, dimmed to dull transparency. Precisely 5 seconds later, emergency human lighting activated, bathing the room in a soft glow. The Terry councillors stood confused on the floor, their patterns flickering weakly as they tried and failed to re-establish connections with their systems. "What is happening?" demanded High Commander Kier, actual fear evident in its diminished glow. Dr. Kim stood calmly before them. "Every Terry system within Earth's orbit has been temporarily disabled. Your ships, your lunar base, your communication arrays, all offline. Don't worry. The effect will last exactly 5 minutes. We designed it that way deliberately to avoid causing any harm." "Impossible," a councillor repeated, but with considerably less certainty. 3 years ago, Dr. Kim continued, we gained access to your educational databases. 2 years ago, we learned to replicate and improve your quantum communication systems. 1 year ago, we developed this device, which creates a harmonic disruption field specifically calibrated to Tyree technology. She walked in a slow circle around the disoriented councillors. While you were broadcasting shows mocking our primitive ways, we were studying every aspect of your civilization. We learned that your technology, while incredibly advanced, hasn't fundamentally changed in thousands of years. You perfect rather than innovate, and that made your systems predictable. The humans in the room remained perfectly still, as rehearsed. This moment wasn't about gloating or revenge. It was about changing the future. "Right now," Dr. Kim continued, "our teams are downloading the complete hegemony knowledge base from your mothership, not to use against you, but to learn, to understand, because that's what humans do best. We learn, we adapt, we grow." High Commander Kier's colors had shifted to a deep, troubled purple. "If what you claim is true, why not simply destroy our ships? Why this demonstration?" Dr. Kim's expression softened. "Because we don't want to be your enemies. We never did. We want to be partners, equals. We believe both our species have something valuable to offer each other." She gestured toward the window, where the hegemony mothership could be seen orbiting above. "Your civilization has perfected incredible technologies, achieved stability across thousands of worlds, but from what we've studied in your own historical records, you haven't had a major technological breakthrough in over 3,000 years. Your society values perfection over innovation." The lights flickered, and suddenly the Terry systems began to reactivate. Their bodies glowed brighter, and their gravity platforms hummed back to life. But none of them retook their elevated positions. They remained on the floor facing Dr. Kim. "Humans are different," she continued. "We're messy, imperfect, sometimes illogical, but we're also incredibly creative. We find unexpected solutions. We see possibilities where others see only obstacles. Just look at what we accomplished in 5 years, starting with technology we barely understood." She pulled a small crystal from her pocket, similar to a Tyree communication device, but with subtle, elegant differences. "This is our version of your standard communicator. It uses 30% less energy, can function under conditions that would disable your models, and can be repaired with simple tools rather than requiring complete replacement when damaged." The councillors gathered around, their crystalline bodies now glowing with what Dr. Kim recognized as intense curiosity. "We propose a new arrangement," she said, "not as ruler and subject, but as civilizations with different strengths. We offer our creativity, our fresh perspectives, our ability to find new paths. You offer your knowledge, your stability, your resources." The High Council withdrew to the corner of the room, their bodies flashing in rapid, complex patterns as they communicated privately. After several minutes, they returned. "In 20,000 years, the lead councillor said slowly, no protectorate species has ever demonstrated such unexpected development. The Council requires time to consider these events." Dr. Kim nodded. "Of course, but consider this. The universe is vast and likely holds threats neither of our civilizations has encountered yet. Wouldn't both humanity and the hegemony be stronger, facing those unknown challenges together? As the Tari departed that day, the mockery broadcasts across the galaxy quietly ceased. 3 days later, the Hegemony Council sent a formal communication, accepting humanity's proposal for a new relationship, not as masters and servants, but as partners in the greater galactic community. Within a decade, human innovations had spread throughout the hegemony, bringing new life to a civilization that had grown stagnant in its perfection. The species that had once been mocked as primitives became celebrated as visionaries, their unique perspective transforming the very empire that had once dismissed them. And the Tari learned perhaps the most important lesson of all, that true advancement comes not from perfection, but from the willingness to embrace new ideas, especially from the most unexpected sources.